This week on Lunchbox Envy, they are the size of hummingbird eggs.
Every day, the UK produces enough to fill 10 pods on the London Eye.
And they can cure constipation in fish.
It's peas! Hello and welcome to Lunchbox Envy. I'm Rosie and I'm here with QI Elves, Manu. Hello, Manu.
Hello, Rosie.
And Jack. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Rosie.
Lovely to be here with you
It's
both.
always a pleasure.
To discuss my number one favourite vegetable.
Is it now?
It has been since I was little. I have a pea tattoo.
Oh,
This is my
nice.
pea flower
Oh.
and pea blossom. God, you can see my crusty fake tan. There's been a heat wave, guys, and I fake tan when I haven't had time to moisturise. I eat peas more than anything else. One thing I like to do, which if you haven't tried, you must try, is sometimes I might have overindulged of a period and I might feel like I need to cut back a little bit. So instead of making pasta with sauce, I make peas and sauce. So instead of having a big bowl of puttanesca with linguine, I'll have puttanesca peas.
Ooh.
Cannot recommend it enough if you're wanting to sort of have a slightly lighter dinner.
Okay.
Any pasta sauce will do.
Piselli puttanesca.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good.
You could do bolognese peas, carbonara peas. The world's your oyster.
It's very different geometrically, though, isn't it? To
Yeah, no, it's a
spaghetti,
completely
like the
different
opposite shape
eating
of spaghetti.
experience.
Can't
And you do need to
twizzle.
cook a lot for the similar amount of trips to mouth that you
Yeah,
get from
yes.
pasta. See, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with peas.
I didn't know this about you, Rosie. We stumbled across your home fruit. No,
Yeah, fruit. They
Yeah.
are fruit.
they are fruit.
They're a fruit.
Ah, even better.
So the common garden pea, which is the one I think we're going to talk about
Yeah.
today, which
Peasum
is
sativum.
exactly the peas are the seeds in the pea fruit, which is the pod.
I see.
I
It's a bit like
know.
eating just the pips of an apple. Kind of.
Kind of. And it's a legume, like a bean, but
Okay.
it is not a bean.
Oh.
And there's lots of false peas that are actually beans.
Yeah, I had to ask that in the group WhatsApp chat. What peas are we talking about specifically? Black-eyed? Chick? Split?
I mean, we can play to pea or not to pea.
Oh, to
if
pea.
you
Yeah, I
like.
want to play.
Not to
I
pea,
do
that
actually
is
want
the
to play
question.
Okay, so sweet pea, the one on your arm,
that. It's a pea.
Is a pea.
not a pea.
Oh.
It's pea-like, but it's not edible.
Okay.
And it's actually poisonous. Don't
no.
eat the sweet pea. But because it looks a lot like a pea, a garden
Regular pea,
pea,
yeah.
a lot of people do get poisoning eating it. But you need to eat it
Interesting.
over a really long period of time. But you can get paralysis, so do not eat
Whoa.
that. Chickpea.
Yes, a pea.
No,
Not a pea.
Why?
I love
Because I did it because your face lit up, Manu.
know.
So I thought you were like,
I was like, walking straight into this one. It is a bean.
It's a bean.
It is a bean. Cowpea.
Cowpea, yes.
No.
No.
So a cowpea is a type of bean which also includes the black-eyed pea.
Okay.
Okay, last one, split pea.
yes, a pea.
Yes, a pea.
Yes, it is a pea.
Hey.
So that is the common garden pea, but that's been dried and it's got a split down the middle where it naturally divides. And then you can like mechanically help it along. But yeah, that is our true pea.
Yes, so I was reading all about the true peas, Peasum sativum, as was my task this week.
As you are paid to do.
What's interesting is the difference between mange tout, petit pois, garden peas, marifat peas. They're basically all the same variety that are harvested at different times. So if
really?
these look like petit pois to me.
They are. I
very-
only buy petit pois for reference,
Really?
everybody.
This
The
is good to know.
sweetest.
So they are the sweetest and they're the smallest and the greenest. And the reason they're sweet is because they have lots of natural sugars, but as they ripen, the sugars turn to starch. So if you get garden peas, they'll be little bit more fluffy and a little less sweet. And then eventually they're marrowfat peas. And they're the ones you turn into mushy peas.
Yeah, they're the ones that you most often actually buy in tins.
Yes, exactly.
And those are also wasabi peas.
Are they?
Are they?
Yeah.
So then if you leave them long enough, they turn slightly yellow and dry out because nearly all of the sugar has turned into starch, and they're much more like chickpeas. If you go the other way, you get mange tout, where you can eat the whole pod, which are really sweet. And
those are the pre-petit pois stage
very young.
pea.
If you're actually a commercial farmer trying to grow mange tout, you probably have a slightly different variety of the Peasants sativum plant.
And just in case none of you speak French, mange tout means eat all.
Eat everything. Yeah, exactly.
Everything. So you can eat the whole thing. It's a lovely name.
It makes a good crunch as well. Very satisfying.
Little teaser.
Yeah, I actually read Winston Churchill's reportedly said that the 4 essentials in life were hot baths, cold champagne, new peas, and old brandy. Which is quite sort of neat and poetic. But a little bit.
You could live a while off that, I think.
So.
Yeah.
It depends on the quantities.
You got what you got? Veg.
Yeah, and 2 types of booze.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah. Very Churchillian.
Very, very much so, yeah.
The word pea,
Oh, yeah.
from the Latin pisa or pisum, which means pea.
I like the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Pisa is actually from the Etruscan, which means mouth, because it's situated on the mouth of the river.
Oh, right.
So it's kind of food related. But yeah, so that comes from the Greek pison, which means pea, and no one has any idea where that comes from.
So actually, it's just its own
A
word.
word's
Yeah.
got to start somewhere, I suppose.
It is just pea.
It is pea.
It's not particularly correlated, but did you ever hear the term, it's a real pea super out there?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I haven't.
It's like back in wartime Britain when there was a particularly bad smog outbreak. Can you say smog outbreak?
Yeah,
Smog
guess so.
situation in London. And it was so hard to see. The air was so dense with smog that it was said to be like walking through pea soup. So they called it a pea super.
And it was slightly yellowy green tinged as
Exactly,
well, wasn't it?
like a split pea soup.
Yeah. Apparently, in the Great Smog of 1952, blind people were leading sighted people around because that you couldn't see more than a foot in front of your face.
Yeah.
That is so
that is crazy.
It
smart.
was amazing. And it led to the Clean Air Act of a few years later, and there haven't been any serious smog since.
No,
Oh.
true.
It's like, in that I've never been to on the restaurants where you eat in the dark.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah, I think they are hogwash.
would you not want to try it?
I happen to know that the food isn't very good. Like, because
don't
it's
tell us
such a
this.
tourist trappy sort of, event focused thing, rather than being about the food, the provenance, like any of that stuff, the chef who's cooking it. It's like going to an escape room for food. Like that, it's not going to be the best of the best.
Just realised it's the exact opposite of your job as a food
Oh, yeah,
stylist.
true.
Yes, it's the exact opposite of my job.
No wonder you're against it.
I like the idea of heightening the senses. I think that's so interesting, whatever. But I do think that those are terrible wastes of money.
Okay.
But I think actually the lack of provenance is really helpful for because the provenance muddies the waters. We've talked all about wine being, if it's expensive, you enjoy it more. And therefore it's more sort of base level, enjoyment. Do you enjoy it? Do you not? So I don't really mind that the food's bad quality, because if you don't know that, you can sort of judge it more objectively than you ever have.
It's really interesting you say that, because I sort of want to talk about that a bit in my section.
Let's go.
Should we crack in? Should I open my lunchbox? It is in fact already open in front of us, but let's open it. Right, my lunchbox today is a bowl of well-buttered, well-seasoned peas.
Hooray.
Because I believe that frozen peas are better than fresh peas. That is my hot take.
Whoa.
I would skip a fresh pea and have a frozen pea
Really?
every single time. The fresh pea is not as good as, I'm going to posit this, it is not as good as a frozen pea. And the
Interesting.
frozen pea is the great leveler of provenance versus economic availability and accessibility of vegetables. These are frozen petit pois that I didn't even bring to a boil.
Oh.
I literally just let them start to float in some hot water and then I drain them.
Okay.
That is my preferred technique for
Top tip.
avoiding overcooking. Because did you know, actually, to freeze peas, you do have to cook them a tiny bit.
Do you? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
It's called blanching. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
We did a good bit on blanching.
Well, yes, we talked a lot about blanching in the asparagus episode, but this is a slightly different type of blanching because it is blanching on an industrial scale.
Okay.
Aren't they good?
Oh, they're so good. Sorry, I'm helping myself.
There you go for it.
The only thing I will say is the food stylist in me is horrified because
Why?
basically if you let a cooked pea cool, you can see that
Goes wrinkly.
it wrinkles, it gets these little sort of like darker divots. When I'm food styling peas, I never cook them. I just let them sit in a bowl of cold water. They stay really plump and round, partly because they're just soaking up water, but also because they've not been cooked again. And actually, if you have frozen peas, you don't have to cook them again if you don't want to. If you want something that's a little bit more crunchy, you can just soak them in some water and they are fine to eat like that.
Oh, wow.
My mum used to give... Oh,
Sorry,
hello.
Please don't choke. I just remembered a story. Do you remember that someone inhaled a pea once and a pea plant started growing in their lungs?
It was a man in 2010 in Massachusetts.
He inhaled a pea?
He was complaining of what he thought was emphysema, and then he went to the hospital and he was all prepared for like a lung cancer diagnosis. And then they found it was only half an inch long, but it was a pea plant growing in his lung.
That is mad.
That sounds like a Grey's Anatomy script.
Well, it's just
line.
true. And he said that the first dinner they gave him in the hospital had peas on the side. And I don't know if that was deliberate, but if
so messed up. Yeah, Rosie, be careful.
Have you eaten fresh garden peas before? Like from a pod? Have you ever podded them before?
Oh, I love it. It's one of my
the best
favourite late
things.
summer pastimes.
Is it?
Yeah.
I find it incredibly annoying as a
Really?
process
Well,
because
it's
it just
quite-
takes ages.
Yeah, I agree. I like if I was actually pressed for time or starving, I would find it tedious. But because I do it maybe twice a year and it's very seasonal and it feels bucolic and it's like I'm inside with Rosie. So I appreciate that I'm being pretentious about
No,
it.
I get all of that. I do see the sort of magic of it. But fundamentally, it is a massive waste of everyone's time and energy. Being able to buy frozen peas genuinely is an incredibly revelatory moment in food history.
It's a great paean, if I may, to like the industrial food complex. And
Love it.
the sort of
Obsessed
supply
with
chains.
it. Now I know we've talked at length about our old friend of the pod, Clarence Birdseye.
Oh, yeah.
In case anyone who's listening today can't remember what we said, he was basically a naturalist employed by the US government in 1912 who moved to Labrador in Canada. He was watching Inuits who were habitually freezing their food. And he realized that not only could you eat this frozen food, but also, most importantly, the food that was frozen during the coldest months, i.e. when it froze the quickest, stayed the freshest for longest. It tasted the best after being defrosted.
Yeah. He basically discovered flash freezing.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
quicker you freeze it, the more
Exactly.
it retains its freshness when you defrost it.
Peas are so sensitive to time once they've been picked. Fresh peas, they take so long to reach grocery store, grocers, mongers. What's they called? Vegemonger.
Supermarket?
By the time they get there, they have enzymes that are in them that are starting to break down their sugars into starch. They're already not at their best. Which is why it has to be an incredibly quick process when you are freezing your peas. So, frozen peas are always picked and flash frozen at the exact peak moment of ripeness.
Okay.
They are processed so quickly.
Yes.
From
Really?
ground to freezer, it can
Yes.
take as little as 150 minutes.
Yes.
Wow.
Which is mad.
They have specialized machines called pea viners. They gently lift the plants from the ground, remove the pods, extract the peas. They go onto a conveyor belt.
One of the steps, they're tested with a tenderometer.
Oh my God.
Which I love so much.
Wow, how does that
It's
work?
a machine that presses them a little bit to see.
Are they tender enough?
Are they tender?
See,
I know.
I think that is so sweet. The tenderometer. Cutie. Peas are very cute.
They are good.
Okay. Then we have the oh so important blanching. The peas are basically briefly plunged into either hot water or steam. It's around 92 to 95 degrees, so it's under boiling.
Okay.
That's worth saying. For about 1 to 2 minutes. It's kind of almost like more of a pasteurization than anything, because it kills the
Oh, yeah,
bacteria,
yeah.
it cleans the surface, deactivates any enzymes that might cause any spoilage whilst they're frozen or a loss of flavour. That's the sort of, as we spoke about it with blanching, that's one of the most important parts of it, is that it actually preserves that really important freshness if you do a really quick cook and a really quick cool. So that's what happens next. They're immediately cooled. They're transferred to icy water baths. I would absolutely love to see this. They're sent through a tunnel freezer.
Oh.
Temperatures around -35 to -40 degrees C, ensures the peas freeze individually and not in clumps. The peas are then weighed and packed into their airtight bags. All of that happens so quickly, as you said. So that's going to be inherently fresher than any fresh pea. It is ironic, but it is so true. And that's why it is such an amazing technological revolutionary vegetable product. Like for me, it just really is great.
I was just going to ask why it's less commercially viable or arguably impossible to do this with every fruit.
Well, I think it's not even that. It's that peas are a perfect freezer friendly product. They have this like little shell that protects them. They are small and sweet. They don't contain as much water as a lot of other things. You know, they hold up. They're just brilliant freezable things.
I will say also in the bag, the fact that they're not a lump means you can squish them around other things in
geometry
the
is very
freezer,
good.
which is fantastic.
Yeah,
Use
exactly.
them as an ice pack.
Incredibly useful ice pack. Very good.
But I'm
My
thinking that's-
ankle thanks you, peas, after years of turning it at festivals. Anyway, they're also, it's worth saying that flash freezing process, it maintains the nutritional value really, really, really well. You know, vitamin C, they're packed with vitamin C. It's so much better at keeping that than long transit of fresh vegetables where that vitamin does end up starting to die.
And like you said, that's the bit I didn't realise is the enzyme in the pea pod starts to turn them into starch even after they're picked.
I will say, because this is like, these are baby peas. These are not mature. When they get to that point, they dry and you can like shake them in their pod. I think the end pea, like the finished dried pea, is overall more nutritionally dense and nutritionally valuable.
Yeah, because it's had that time to mature.
And you get the protein, which is fully developed as well. So this is like maybe more vitamins like your C's, but if you had to pick one
They're
in
killed.
the apocalypse.
The most nutritionally dense version is the oldest version. Also, economically, frozen peas are significantly cheaper than fresh peas. You only pay for the edible shelled product, obviously. Fresh peas in their pods only yield about 40% to 50% edible weight. So it's food waste, right? Like you're going to have to waste so much of that product. You can use, a sidebar, you can use pea pods for cooking, but really only in stocks.
I make a good pea soup with a stock. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a very famous and incredibly delicious Venetian pea and rice soup called Rosie, which my dad used to make us all the time growing up. But he used to make it with frozen peas, and I love making it with frozen peas. But traditionally, the version that they started out with in Venice is made with pea pods and fresh peas, and the stock that you make the soup in is made with those pea pods, and it's very, very fresh and spring-like, and you know it's delicious, but it's not a practical thing to.
You can do what they do industrially when they're shelling them as they're harvesting them on the ground. The machine spits the pods and all of the waste material back out onto the field as fertilizer.
That's so clever.
It's really clever. So you could just do that, but in one.
And then they feast on the dead remains of their ancestors.
Yes.
Cannibal peas, as it turns out. Anyway, I don't know if I need to say any more. I just think it's a really clean-cut
sold them.
winner. It's just an interesting one because actually most of the time we're waxing lyrical about freshness, locality, provenance, except for things like these peas.
Well, that's the thing is they are fresh. Like you said, they're
They are
fresher
fresh.
than so-called fresh peas because you've basically paused them at their freshness and then you serve them X weeks later and they're as fresh as they were when they were frozen. And so, you know.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was just be careful when you're cooking your frozen peas because, as I've said, they are already cooked. You shouldn't cook it loads more again, right? Because it will just go fluffy and not very nice. So it's less of a cook, more of a defrost. Think of it like that. For me, my frozen pea cooking technique is to just let them rise to the surface of your hot water, previously boiling water. Season that water nicely. Water. Don't let them come back to the boil. They will go mealy and mushy if you do that. Or you can microwave them. I don't want to give you a time because I think it depends on the vessel and the person. But I like 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I was wondering why, Rosie, you described when you're reheating them, they kind of float to the top. And I was like, why is that the case? Because it's very magical. It's very satisfying to watch. And apparently it's because when you put them in, when they're frozen, they're more dense than the water they're in. But as they heat up, the air in the pea starts to expand like a hot air balloon pea.
Oh my God.
So they float to the surface, they bubble and they rise because they're less dense than the water.
Oh, makes
So
sense.
clever. It's kind of like that peanut in the beer. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The lava lamp.
Famously not a pea. But have you heard of the Basque teardrop peas?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Okay,
what is
so
it?
these are one of the most expensive vegetables in the world.
Really?
Vegetables?
Oh, I'm
whatever
already
it is,
interested.
fruit, blah, blah, blah. They're called guisantes de lagrima. They were originally from the Basque country in Guipúzcoa, but you can actually find them in a couple of different places in Spain now. Although there is a rumour that they were officially first grown on the grounds of the Palace of Versailles. So these peas, they are very small and they do look like teardrops. So rather than having a overtly spherical shape, they have a sort of teardrop point. They are incredibly delicate peas. They have to be picked first thing in the morning at dawn,
Okay.
because the sugars in the peas start converting to starch almost immediately after they're picked. So they have a very short shelf life. It's essential to harvest at dawn, get to the restaurant within 24 hours if you're going to be using them. A kilo, it depends who you're buying from, but it's between 300 and 800 euros.
Wow. Oh my
That-
God.
Depends how fresh you want them. Like if you
Mad.
want them by lunchtime, you're looking at 800.
Wait, so is this in my head? You're serving them at restaurants where there's like 3 peas? On
Yeah,
a
it's
plate?
very much like an incredibly Michelin vibey ingredient.
A little caviar spoon.
Yeah, I have had them before at a Michelin restaurant, and look, delicious.
Did you
Would
thread-
I pay 800 euros a kilo? Probably not.
I really hope you thread them onto the tine of the fork like a little.
Yeah,
I love it.
I was like, can I have some ketchup, please, for my teardrop peas? You will see them on menus in London occasionally, but they will put the price up of your dish
course.
by an enormous amount. They're often called green caviar, actually, because they're so expensive for a pea. 60% of the quality is lost just after just 2 days of resting on the vine. And also, terms of quantity, you only get about 6 to 8 pearls per pod. So it's around 60 grams of pea to a kilo of pod.
Wow.
So there's not very much.
You're also calling them pearls, which sounds a bit pretentious, right?
Oh, you gotta. It's a
Yeah, I
story.
mean, why not?
Yeah, go for it.
Why not?
But look, like, you know, they're a unique product to this very concentrated region in northern Spain. It's very interesting and very delicious. And if you do see them, I do encourage you to try them if you've got the money.
Oh, I want to. I'll just buy one.
Yeah.
Just buy one.
I would love, I remember hearing this anecdote from an American friend, is that to get the most fresh corn, it would work with peas. So they boil a pan of water in the cornfield right next to the corn cob, and then you bend the corn and just slice it off so it falls straight into the water. So it's as fresh as it can be. I bet if you did that with peas, they'd be even better.
Yeah,
Listen.
again, though, that is so labour intensive.
No, but just like once in your life.
Yeah,
if
once
you were
in your
just
life
in
would
a
be
farmer's
nice.
pea farm and you had their permission, then you could just like snip the pod off.
Peas are kind of like the ultimate princessy food, right? Because they have to be picked individually and all these things. But actually, by making them a frozen product, they are now a universally accessible, delicious,
Oh, yeah.
on everyone's plates kind of thing. And I think that it's so easy to be really snobby about frozen food. When frozen food started to become more popular in post-war America and the UK, for example, the writer Laura Shapiro wrote the book Something from the Oven, Reinventing Dinner in the 1950s America. You know, quality of those products was really poor to begin with, and they didn't have the hang of like what should be frozen, what shouldn't, for example, tomatoes. So there was still this like misconception of like frozen foods are the worst foods, and it took a really long time for people to get over that, and they're still not over it because, as I say, now provenance is such a big thing. But peas actually in the UK are mostly frozen and produced in the UK, and this is something that you can buy frozen and feel confident that it is locally produced and freshly frozen and incredibly good quality.
And good value.
Yeah, they're just great. So that's it. That's my soapbox. I shall get down now. Time for our second lunchbox, and that's Jack's.
I've brought you a little nursery rhyme. Do you remember peas pottage hot, peas pottage cold, peas pottage in the Tupperware, 9 days old?
Hey!
I don't remember. Is it also cold, Jack?
It is cold. Well, peas pottage hot, peas pottage cold. You have the choice.
Oh, I see. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, you did just say that. It's an interesting food styling approach here. It's basically a vat in a Tupperware of a caramel coloured soup.
Looks a lot like dal.
It looks like dal.
Wow.
With chunks of cooked ham on top.
Well, it is a bit like dal, so I'm glad you mentioned that. In that it is made from dried split legumes. So I wanted to talk mostly about split peas, and you'll notice that this is a yellow dish rather than a green. Because when you leave peas on the vine for long enough, they dry and go yellow and very starchy. So I also equate this to like a British hummus, because it's basically when you get chickpeas, you also soak them, boil them for a bit, and then mix them with delicious stuff. So basically peas pudding or peas pottage, they mean the same thing. Pottage was an old word for a soup or a stew, basically anything made in a pot. Comes from the French potage.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Is it related to porridge?
Yeah, they are. They're related to, basically, it's the same etymology of, it's a pot, basically. Something's made in a pot.
I see.
Slicing
a
it a
pot.
little bit.
In a
yeah.
Porridge.
As we mentioned, the chemistry of a pea changes, or the sugars turn into starches. 100 grams of split peas gives you 104% of your daily recommended fibre,
Whoa.
That's a crazy.
which is the most of any reasonably available plant food that I could find. They're also full of protein, which is why a lot of protein shakes will be made with pea protein. And a lot of fake meat burgers are also pea protein.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of cheese from peas contains more protein than cheese from dairy cows.
Whoa. But
Actual cheese. Can I say that cheesy peas actually are delicious as well?
When you were talking about pasta peas, I was like, saucy peas, cheese.
Mac and cheese, but no mac, just peas. Peas and cheese. I'm going to make that. Watch this space. That will be on my newsletter next week.
So good.
So basically, this is quite common to the northeast of England, where, I mean, there are lots of sort of industries in the northeast, famously shipbuilding and coal mining. And so this is kind of a sort of hearty dish. And the rhyme comes from the fact that especially poor families would make it in bulk. So you'd make a huge vat of split peas boiled for ages in ham stock with as many flavourings as you could afford. So this one's got a bay leaf that I've removed and some thyme.
And you'd have ham stock because you'd often be boiling a ham as well.
Yeah,
because
another
a
cheap
ham
meat.
was a cheap meat. You know, you'd buy a whole ham. You'd need to boil it to get the salt out,
Yeah.
and that delicious ham stock.
And you would sort of boil it down and then you'd eat it 9 days in a row. That's where the sort of 9 days came from. I was interested in why does the rhyme say 9 days? And it's because it would last that long. You'd make enough and you'd have it every dinner and you might even top it up. My mum has a story when she was at university. She would make soup on a Monday and then she'd eat like a seventh of it and then top it up with water so that by Saturday it was like mostly water.
That's perpetual soup is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a master stock in Chinese cookery. You have the master stock where you just never ever completely finish it. So you're always making more stock with the same stock.
But you're still adding extra flavourings. She would just dilute it and dilute it
Yeah,
every
bless
time.
her.
That is the most student-y thing.
But yeah, apparently I haven't made it this way, but apparently if it's sort of starchy enough, you could cut slices off.
Ooh.
Yeah. Can
But
I
yeah.
eat a piece
Yeah,
of
I was
that?
I
gonna
should have
say,
got some
I'm gonna grab a
balls.
spoon.
I just want a hand.
It is quite thick, I will say.
That is not what I was expecting at all. Super gentle.
As I understand, I have done no research on this, so I caveat that. But like, I thought that pulses were quite volatile and that they could actually become more and more food unsafe the longer you leave them. For example, hummus. Hummus is a really big culprit of food poisoning in
Is
this country
it?
because we buy a lot of hummus and then we let it sit for 12 days with one scoop out and then we eat it again and then we wonder why our tummies are upset. It's because you've eaten bloody old hummus.
I cannot believe I'm alive. because like unless it's fizzy, I will eat the hummus.
Yeah, but you do have a lot of intolerances. It might be because you're just eating hummus on the same day.
And it's very fair. Oh, this is really nice. It is very darly.
And let me guess, I've just eaten 800 grams of fibre.
You're going to be tooting for the rest of the pod.
Yeah.
But I was looking into split peas. Did you know that split peas helped the British to win World War II?
Ooh.
What didn't help us win World War II, if I'm honest?
And basically, they were used in the development of the World War II fighter plane, the Spitfire. The kind of most famous of the British RAF fighter planes. So in 1934, before the war started, there was an engineer called Beverly Shenston.
Oh, great name.
We love assuming Beverly is a woman.
No, it was a man's
Okay,
name for a long time.
I will not say what I was going to say. We love a female engineer.
Oh, no, this is the 1930s. Women were in the
Men
house.
were, of course, called Beverly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's been a man's name for a lot longer than it's been a woman's name. Anyway, this guy, Beverly Shenston, he went to an air show because he was an aeronautical engineer in 1934, and he noticed that the German planes all were very smooth. He asked the German engineer, and he said, well, we use flush rivets. So when you bolt the plane together, it sounds obvious now, but you use a flat top. So there's no knobbly nuts and bolts sticking out, and it looks like a straight line when you look down the wing. So 2 years later, he took this idea and he built prototype Spitfires that also had flush riveting. But to test the energy savings, he couldn't build a computer model because it was 1936. So what they did was they took the first prototype Spitfire, like the full-size one, and they put it in an enormous wind tunnel, and they glued the half domes of split peas onto each flush rivet where the rivets were. And then they would chip them off one by one on like a different part of the wing and then run the tests again. And then eventually they chip them all off, and they could work out that it would increase the maximum top speed of a Spitfire by 22 miles an hour.
Whoa.
That is a big increase.
Yeah, noticeable, yeah.
Who is this German engineer that is just
Giving away
spilling-
state
Yeah.
secrets.
Well, this is like, oh.
This is a long time before the war, and it was a civilian air show, so like...
That is so
But yeah,
clever.
split peas.
And bloody Churchill's like, only new peas. Turns out, Churchill, the oldest peas were the most valuable, so...
He was eating the new ones, and then the old ones are going off. So have you heard of the heath pea, or bitter vetch?
Ooh, bit of that.
Latin name, Lathyrus linifolius. So the interesting thing about this is it would basically worked a bit like medieval Ozempic. So in medieval Scotland, they would eat the tubers of this heath pea, and apparently it was used, tales of the time would say that it was used as a hunger suppressant. And people could go for days or even weeks without needing to eat food. Now, obviously, should be taken with a pinch of salt because they were often starving and they didn't have anything else to eat.
Yeah, I was going to say, why were they suppressing it?
Well, it would mean
I
you
suppose
could
'cause
go
they were
if
starving,
you didn't
yes.
have any food. Yeah, you could go
Yeah.
and you could work
It's
on
the
labours.
opposite of the reason why people suppress it now.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are scatterings of reports of Roman soldiers fighting under Caesar when he was fighting Pompey in the Civil War, who were on the brink of starvation, and they would eat these heath peas or bitter vetch, and they would be able to last and fight for a bit longer, a few more days. It's still available to find in Britain, certainly, and probably most of Europe. Highland Scots called the dried Lathyrus tubers that they chewed charmelic or carmella, from the Gaelic cairmeal. And James Robertson, on his tour of the Highlands, noted that charmelic was eaten before drinking strong liquors to prevent intoxication.
Clever.
So it sounds like it's got quite a good sort of
Sounds like a
interesting-
superfood to
I
me.
know. The heath pea has actually fallen out of favour because the potato arrived. So we talk about how the potato was a huge wonder crop. There were basically no famines after people started, certainly in Britain and Ireland, growing the potato. And so then that's why the heath peas aren't cultivated or kept alive.
Another fantastic use for peas in the scientific world. Have you guys heard of Gregor Mendel?
Yeah, oh, yes, I love this guy.
Without Gregor Mendel, so basically without this Czech monk and without peas, we might not know very much about modern genetics.
My base knowledge of Mendel, I had
Yeah.
a massive poster of famous scientists through history. But
This
anyway,
was in your bedroom.
My childhood
was
bedroom,
it?
yeah, growing up.
Right. Next
And-
to pictures of anything else? Star Wars, Darth Vader?
No, I think I had the periodic table and
Oh
a
my
map of
God.
the world with all the flags at the bottom.
Nice.
Anyway, I distinctly remember the picture of Gregor Mendel with his
So he's got
glasses.
fantastic glasses. So his dates are 1822 to 1884. So he worked in a little monastery in Austria. He's known as the father of modern genetics because he used over 28,000 pea plants and bred them over generations and generations to figure out the kind of building blocks for modern genetics. So basically, they grow really fast and they've got really easily observable traits. So some grow on the ground, some grow tall and climb, some are green, some are yellow. Like the colours are really important.
Some are poisonous.
Some are poisonous. So he basically bred loads and loads and loads of peas to figure out how genetic traits passed from one generation to the next. So the dominant theory at the time was that genetic traits kind of pass down like paint colours.
Okay.
So your mum's a paint, your dad's a paint. When they have you, their paints mushed together and make a new colour, and you'll never get your mum or your dad's paint again because it's all been mixed. But he found out by breeding these peas that it's more like passing down a deck of cards. So you're shuffling a deck of cards and you still have the individual cards that are distinct and like passed directly down. And I love that he did this all with peas.
Yeah.
And the story goes that the reason he was so obsessed with growing peas and was in this garden for ages, but it's because he was cripplingly awkward and shy.
Oh.
And they were like, this monk's not going to do so well out in the world, so we'll put him in the garden.
Oh, bless him.
I know. So I had a chat with the John Innes Institute. They're kind of like a horticultural, botanical research centre, and they are carrying on this kind of work with peas. They're actually trying to breed a genetically like resilient pea. It's really, really cool.
A super pea.
Super pea. But they say that story about him being really awkward and shy actually isn't the case. They went through his receipts. One of the people at the institute did like a big historical dive.
What sort of things would you find on a receipt that would prove you're an extrovert?
Pubs.
I know, but
Pubs
was he...
with various rounds of drinks that are more than one drink.
No, but would he be allowed to leave the monastery? That's what I'm thinking.
He was.
Oh,
so
really?
he travelled, he went to conferences, he visited the Pope at one point.
Sick.
He went all around with his research. And it's also quite encouraging because the story of Mendel is that he was doing all of this incredible pea research and none of it was recognised until years after he died. But this kind of suggests that people were chatting to him and he was taking his work out,
Hey, cool.
which is really nice.
Well, I'm about to slam this to the ground.
Oh, God.
So statistically, his results were almost too good. So there is a suspicion that he was sort of diddling the results a bit.
Diddling the peas.
Yeah. So the father of modern statistics is a British statistician called R.A. Fisher. And he wrote a whole essay in 1932 about how they were too good. Because whenever you're doing science, you can't ever definitively prove something. You can always say the chances of this happening by chance are 1 in a million, and you choose the level that's acceptable, right? And he says that the chances that Mendel's results happened by chance are 7 in 100,000.
Ooh.
So it could still happen.
So he could have been a
He
really...
could have been really lucky, or he could have diddled his results. Anyway, he still gave us important lessons, so I don't think it really matters.
I don't know what to think anymore. I had this image of him as like a quaint little man with his peas.
Quasimodo, like he was out there bagging birds and buying rounds and making up results. And now onto our final lunchbox of the day. And Manu, I'm looking dismayed because as per bloody usual, it doesn't look edible at all.
But it is fun.
Okay.
Today I have brought a toy pea shooter.
Oh, cool.
Yay!
I have never used one of these before.
No way.
Have you?
Yeah. So I was an avid reader of the Beano. There's a lot of insights into my childhood here.
Yes,
The
and
Beano-
we're getting a real picture, I think.
The Beano is it's a comic book for children, basically, and features most famously Dennis the Menace. And they would go around with pea shooters causing menace. And I just thought they were the ultimate tool. And then one day
they had like coupons you could write in and they just send you a pea shooter, and I got one. And it was sort of disappointingly not as much of a weapon as I thought.
It's essentially a straw, isn't it?
It's a straw with a little mouthpiece. Does anyone want to try it?
I'd love
shoot
to,
a
yeah.
pea?
Oh, pathetic. Okay, I'm gonna have another go.
That was quite hard.
It's quite hard,
It
right?
was quite hard.
Anyway,
speaking like
so
a pea
you're about
shooter.
to tell me these won the war as well, did they?
Yes.
Right.
It's all pea shooters. No, so today I wanted to talk about a woman called Mary Smith, who was a famous knocker-upper who used a pea shooter to wake people up in the morning to get them out of bed.
Cool. What, just anyone she fancied? Or like,
No, it was her clients, so people that paid
No
her
way.
to wake them up in the morning. So
she was like a human alarm clock?
exactly,
That's amazing.
That's
Cool.
exactly right. So this
Another example of automation taking our jobs.
True.
So after the Industrial Revolution, as more and more people were moving from rural areas into cities and factories, there was a problem. Workers at the factories and cities needed to get to shifts on time, but there's no cockerel to wake you up in a city. And a lot of them were also too poor to afford alarm clocks.
Right.
So a new class of worker emerged who were called the knocker-uppers, and these people were hired to walk around town knocking on people's doors to wake them up for their shifts.
Wow.
But there's a problem. So if you're walking around in the morning really early, you're not just waking up that family,
Oh, that's
you're
true.
waking up their neighbours.
Yeah.
And this is an issue for two reasons. One, people don't want to be woken up all the time when it's not their time to wake up. Two, you're also giving away your service for free.
Oh,
If
that's a
you're-
good
yeah.
point.
So it needs to be very, very specific, targeted.
targeted.
So this
Yeah.
is like the sort of 1900s equivalent of sharing your Netflix account. Would
Yeah,
be
or
like,
stealing Wi-Fi.
That's
It
so-
makes me think of like Jack the Ripper style, like
It's really interesting.
vibes in East London. People waking up people, but they weren't awake. They were dead.
It's exactly right. There's actually accounts of knocker-uppers in reports about Jack the Ripper.
Really?
So
No
people
way.
who are up at that time who've maybe seen him.
It's a bit like how early morning joggers discover bodies, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They're all murderers. Anyway, so to get around this problem, knocker-uppers developed clever ways to tap on specific families' windows and not wake up the whole neighborhood. So some people use really long sticks. Some people threw like really, really tiny rocks. But people like Mary Smith used the pea shooter to like ping windows
Genius.
loud enough to wake up that family, but leave the rest of the neighborhood asleep.
Was she using dried split peas or was she using fresh peas?
That is a great question.
They must have been dried.
They must have
Yeah.
been dried.
Like little rocks.
Anyway, so Mary Smith was a pea shooter knocker-upper, and she was working in East London in the 1930s.
Okay.
And she charged families £6 a week for her services, which is, I think, super, super cheap in today's money. It was like $1.50 a week.
Yeah, but if you're going around 100 houses an hour,
My question is, who's waking up Mary?
That is the
very
big,
good question.
big question. So
Jack the Ripper.
there's actually an old tongue twister about this.
Oh, yeah.
So
Wait, can
okay.
I try? We had a knocker up, and a knocker upper had a knocker up, and our knocker up's knocker up didn't knock our knocker up. So our knocker up didn't knock us up because he's not up.
Oh, like that.
Exactly. The big question. According to the historian Richard Jones, knocker-uppers got around this problem by just not going to bed in the evening.
That was what I was going to say. I bet you they just didn't go to sleep and they knew that the time was coming. They just had a boring... Maybe she worked a full night shift doing something else and then was like, right,
It's
now for
time.
my
Get some extra.
second side hustle, I'm off to wake some people up.
So yeah, that could be the
be.
case. So yeah, they just did their shift and then went to bed after everyone else has woken up.
It would make you a good knocker-upper as well because you'd be so grumpy about it. You'd be like, I'm literally only here to wake you up so that I can go to bed, so you better wake up.
She was working for quite a long time. Her daughter took over the role after she retired. And people were working as knocker-uppers in the UK until like the 1960s and early 70s. So
Wow.
it was a long old time before people got all of their alarm clocks and bits sorted.
That is crazy late.
One of the last knocker-uppers who's working, he's interviewed in a newspaper and they asked him what he was going to do after he retired. And he was like, I might lie in until 6 or on Sunday 7. And I was like, that is
Good for him.
What a lazy man. Well, one final defunct job, or actually a few. So I was reading the 1881 census, as one does. So one listed occupation was peas maker, someone who basically made food stuff with peas, like, for instance, peas pottage. It was alongside impression maker, coney cutter, sad iron maker, sand badger, egger, faggoter, Oliver man, spilch dealer, and tingle maker.
Tingle
Any
maker.
explanation of what they
None
were?
at all.
These are
Right.
all such good stripper names.
Yeah.
So I was looking at other weird uses for peas, and luckily, the John Innes Foundation suggested this. Basically, some of their researchers are working on pea starches and pea proteins and making bioplastics with them. So, like pea plastics. And because basically food safe, food grade, non-reactive, they can also be used to make plasters, which is really nice. So they
That's
help
so
in
cool.
wound healing. And what's great is if you do use these plastics, they don't have the same degradation issues. So basically plastic pollution in the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of going around suffocating tiny cute fish, they'll be feeding the fish because
Yeah.
you can eat the plastic.
Didn't you also say that they cured fish of constipation at the top of the episode?
Exactly.
There'll be fish shit everywhere.
Oh,
The
God.
fish are regular and they're not dying because they've got cans around their heads. That's it for this week's edition of Lunchbox Envy.
You can follow our socials for foodie facts and podcast updates. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Lunchbox Envy Pod.
You can also get in touch and send us your facts, recipes, and questions by emailing us lunchbox@qi.com.
Rosie, do you have any parting recipes to recommend?
I'm just going to say, give it a whirl. Try a puttanesca pea. Next time you make a puttanesca sauce, try it with some peas instead of pasta. I love pasta, and I'm not saying don't eat pasta, but give peas a try.
Nice.
We'll leave you with this. When taking photographs, instead of saying cheese, Estonians say hernasup, which means pea soup. And we will be doing that next on our pictures for this episode. We'll see you next week.
Hernasup.
Hernasup, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lunchbox Envy was hosted by Jack Chambers, Manu Henriot, and me, Rosie MacKean. It was produced by Alex Bell. This has been a quite interesting podcast.